Common Knowledge Podcast, just a man doing the best he can with what he got. And I apologize for being absent. I've been a little under the weather. And I also been doing promo work for a new project I got coming out. I'll talk about that later. But I'm going to make this quick. One of the biggest reasons people claim they voted for Donald Trump was affordability. That is what was pitched to the American people, that Donald Trump was going to make things affordable. And somehow under Biden, things had skyrocketed, inflation had took over, and the economy was trash. That was the talking point. The economy was trash. Trump was going to come in and save us. Now, we all know there were some other underlying things that people voted for Trump for. But one of the biggest reasons stated was affordability. Now, gas prices were front and center. Everybody remembers the $5 spike under Biden. And let's be honest, that $5 spike happened right after COVID. After COVID, gas spiked to $5, but that's what everybody's bringing up. They're saying, hey, gas prices was $5 under Biden, which honestly shows how good Biden was, because if gas prices started at $5 and went down, that means he was doing his job. But that point aside, people don't want to talk about that. Like, really, seriously, we're going to really, later on in history, realize that President Biden was one of the best presidents in American history. We're really going to realize that. Like, the things the man did during his one-term presidency were phenomenal, but we'll talk about that later. But people will use that $5 spike after COVID to say that, hey, things were worse under Biden. But now gas is sitting at $4. After being $2.73 a few months ago. A few months ago, gas was $2.73. Now it is $4 a gallon. So the question is, does $4 gas not hurt your wallet right now? If your only logics for saying gas going up 50% is not hurting your wallet is it was $5 under Biden, I got to ask, how does economics work in your house? Like, how do you balance your wallet? Because $4 is hurting everybody. And the argument wasn't Trump will be cheaper than Biden at his worst moment. The argument was things will be affordable. And what I'm seeing now is a shift in logics. People who were outraged before are suddenly okay. They're okay with paying $4 a gallon gas because it's under Trump. And that's the real issue here. A lot of Trump supporters, I dare I say MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, they have no damn principles. If your standards change depending on who's in office, then you don't have standards. That's called loyalty. You are loyal to President Trump. You are loyal to a fault. We can't hold this man accountable because you guys are super duper loyal to this guy. You have an irrational loyalty to a man and not America. And that's the problem. We can't even call out things as they're happening because MAGA supporters are irrationally loyal to this guy. This guy is de facto daddy. And honestly, worse than daddy. He may be a demigod at this point. Now, let's just zoom in for a second. We're talking about rising costs, global tension, and decisions that have real consequences. Like, we decided to go to war with Iran. That was a decision. We didn't have to. You don't get to talk tough about war when you're not the one going to fight it, right? Like, the truth of the matter is these oil prices right now are soaring because of conflict with Iran. That's the reason. It ain't no other reason right now. This is a price jump created by the commander-in-chief. Like, only about 1% of Americans actually serve in the military. So it's easy like to beat your chest and do all this saber rattling and say, hey, we should go to war when it's not your life on the line. And that's one thing I hated when I was a soldier. And I talk about it a lot. What got me to get out the Army was I felt my life was expendable. And dare I say it right now, man, it feels like our soldiers and our U.S. servicemen and women, lives are expendable because we had a commander-in-chief who is bad at his job. We got a Secretary of Defense who's bad at his job. And because they're bad at their job, prices are going up for a global commodity that everybody uses and needs every day. And now to save face, they're willing to send American service members and women out there to die for their mistake. Like, they're actually willing to send people to die for their mistake. And let's just be honest, this was a mistake. This was a mistake and poor strategy that wasn't thought out. And when decisions are made, like real decisions are made, you should expect strategy. Like, you expect foresight. You expect leadership to say, if we do this, then that will happen. If we do this, this is what's going to happen next. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of you guys didn't know what the Strait of Hormuz was. But honestly, I'm okay with you not knowing what the Strait of Hormuz was. You have elected officials that you expect to know this. That's why we elect administrations. Expertise matters. I want the smartest people in the room who can work out the game theory and say, okay, man, yo, if we attack Iran, just know they could do this. And if this happens, man, gas prices are going to shoot up. And then communicate that to the American people before you make a decision. Go to Congress, as you should do, based on the Constitution, which seems to mean nothing anymore. But you should be able to go to Congress, make that case, and they can take that case to the American people. That's why we have elected officials. But none of that's happening. You just got some wingnut guys following the pace of Israel and saying, well, Israel bombed, now we can bomb. And now they're putting pressure on our ass. And everybody's looking crazy. But what people are feeling right now is confusion. You're hearing one thing, then you're seeing another. You're told something is handled, and then it's not. And over time, the gap between words and reality start to matter because you can't spin your way through real world consequences. You can't lie your way out of a war. And that seems like what Trump is trying to do right now. In 2025, Iran was bombed by the US government. And Trump said their nuclear capacity was wiped out. And now in 2026, he says we have to bomb them again because they have nuclear capacity. Which is it, my G? Were you mistaken the first time or were you lying? It has to be one or the other. And at some point, man, results have to match the promises, man. Like, he promises a lot. He talks big, but there's no results. So here's the real question. If affordability was the reason, where's the line? Like, at what point do you say, all right, this is not working. This ain't what I signed up for. Things are wrong. Like, not what about Biden's $5? That's deflection, bro. Just a clear answer. At what point do you look at the cost of living in America and say, hey, man, this is not working? The U.S. farmers are going bankrupt because of Trump's tariffs. The prices of everyday goods in America are going up because of Trump's tariffs. Inflation is over 3% because of Trump's policies. Gas went from $2.73 to over $4 a gallon now because of Trump's policies. At what point do you say, hey, man, this ain't going well? And I'm not saying that in the sense of, hey, man, let's go kick Trump out. No, somebody needs to do something. Policy needs to change. For all intents and purposes, the man's in office for the next 2.5 years. I don't want America to crash, buddy. I really don't. I got way too much invested in America for it to crash. I don't want that. My goal is not to see America crumble, but however, how it's going, it looks like it's crumbling. So I ask you again, where is your line? Because if there's no line, then it was never about affordability in the first place. And that's the honest truth. For a lot of y'all, it was never about affordability. It was about something else. And I need you guys to be honest with yourself about what it was that really attracted you to this man we have in the White House now. Just something to think about. All right, so I have a new project coming out with some friends of mine, Pistol Paco and James Payne Lethal, called The Book of James. And as I come out with this album, as a older middle-aged man, I thought it'd be good to talk about why hip hop is such an integral part of my life and why I still do hip hop. Because there's a lot of ageism in hip hop now that I think needs to be addressed. And it kind of fits in to my late ass eulogy of Jesse Jackson and to why hip hop is so damn important and why I would never stop doing hip hop. And it's more than what it has become. All right, so here we go. So there's a problem with how we teach American history. We like to slice it up in eras. We got like the civil rights era, we have the Reagan era, the crack era, the hip hop era. Like none of those connect. We don't tell the story in a way it connects. But if you was born in 1981 like me, you were on the back end of the biggest civil rights push in American history. Yeah, you was raised in the aftermath of it. And that context matters. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voter Right Act of 1965 legally dismantled segregation. But laws and people's lived experiences are two different things. So legally, segregation was illegal in 1965, but that didn't magically make redlining disappear. Like the Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968, but discriminatory lending practices still happen today. There are still wealth gaps today that still last, which leads into the war on drugs in the 1980s, which disproportionately impacted Black communities. If you do the research, there's never no time in American history where more Black people were on crack than white people, but more Black people were disproportionately targeted and arrested for crack. That was a problem. And that leads to urban disinvestment and the removal of infrastructure in the hood. Like there's a reason why you have food deserts in low income neighborhoods. Like corporations are pulling out because the money is not there. It's de-investment. That's why you have food deserts. That's why sometimes the only places you can get food in the hood is the corner store. Like if one of the famous corner stores in South Memphis closed down, there'd be a whole community there who wouldn't have food. It gives corporations a reason to say, hey, I don't want to put my company here in the hood because of crime and that narrative that was spin because Black people were arrested. So by the late 80s and 90s, mass incarceration is accelerating. So what happens when you're told you're equal, but you don't experience equal treatment? In the Black community, you get art. You get art, you get a voice, you get revolution through rhythm. And that's what hip hop was. Hip hop wasn't random. It was a cultural response to policies, policing, poverty, and broken promises. That's how you get Public Enemy, NWA, and Tupac. That was commentary on the lived experiences of Black people during that time. And for me, growing up in the 80s, there's two philosophies I saw in my community. In the Deep South, especially, you get respectability politics. That's the pull your pants up, speak properly. You're going to have to work twice as hard just to get to bare minimum. That's one camp. And then it's the second camp where I fell into, and that was radical assertion, where we shouldn't have to perform to get dignity. Dignity should be baseline. My respect is baseline. If anything else, damn it, you're going to respect me. If you don't meet me with respect, there's going to be problems. Like, stop trying to fit into a structure that was never built for you. This structure itself never saw you as a person, so stop trying to fit in. You will never fit in, and that's more of the camp. I fit in, but I saw both of those philosophies in the Deep South. And the truth of the matter is really both. Now that I get older, like you gotta be kind of slap dead in the middle. You need institutional strategy and you need unapologetic demand. And that's where Jesse Jackson comes in. Like, when I was 7 years old, Jesse Jackson was running for president of the United States. Not a symbolic run. He wasn't pretend running. The man was winning primaries. He was literally making a legit run for president. Like, in 1984, the man won 3.5 million votes on the Democratic side. In 1968, he won 11 primaries and caucuses. The man received 29% of primary votes nationwide. That is not small potatoes. The man was making a legit run. It wasn't a joke campaign. They tried to treat the man as a joke, but Jesse Jackson was actually out there moving mountains, right? He was normalizing Black faces in leadership. And that was incremental change. And incremental change matters, because before Barack Obama was a viable presidential candidate, Jesse Jackson proved that Black candidates could compete nationally. Like, people like to make fun of Jesse Jackson when he said, hey, there wouldn't be no Barack Obama, it wasn't me, but he wasn't lying, man. That's the truth. Like, there is no serious conversation about Obama's viability without acknowledging Jesse Jackson's groundwork. And that leads to, like, the iconic catchphrase, the keep hope alive. And that was at the 1988 Democratic National Convention, when he said, hey, in his speech, keep hope alive. And it wasn't rhetoric, man. It was a signal. Like, we are here. We are organized. We are not going anywhere. And this is important because after Dr. King's assassination in 1968, there was a leadership vacuum in the civil rights movement. And Jackson, who had worked closely with King through Operation Breadbasket, stepped into the national leadership in the 1970s and 80s. And he wasn't perfect. I have a lot of problems with Jesse Jackson. I had a lot of problems with him in my youth. But as I've gotten older, I have forgiven those flaws, because he wasn't perfect, but he was visible. He was the right kind of visible too, because he damn near came out of central casting. Jesse Jackson was handsome, and that motherfucker was cool, dog. I'm just gonna be honest, like, undeniably cool as hell, right? If King was like preacher-like and smooth, Jesse Jackson was cool. The man had the leather suits, the leather jackets. He was out in your face. The man was out there making moves. But the complications was this, right? And here where it gets uncomfortable. Movements weaken when they become personality-driven. And Jackson, like Al Sharpton, became the face. And when the face stumbles, critics attach the flaws to the entire movement. Like, historically, Jackson faced controversy, criticisms over his remarks in 1984 that he later apologized for, that they made a good Saturday Night Live skit about, which, look, go look up yourself. Eddie Murphy did it. But he made controversial comments in 1984. Then scrutiny over his financial management within the organization. And this is a big one for Black organizations, and it's still happening today. You can see this pattern with the Black Lives Matter movement. If you are the leader of a movement, a social movement group, especially if you're a Black social movement group, you got to detach yourself from the finances, because you're too intertwined. People are going to attach your success to the organization, and they're going to find accounting blunders. That happened to Jesse Jackson, man. Like, a widely publicized hot mic comment also kind of killed that man in 2008 when he was talking about Obama talking down to Black people in 2008. I think he was with Julian Bond, the leader of the NCAA at the time, on the hot mic on Fox News, or is it Fox News, CNN? When he made that comment. Side note, man, I met Julian Bond. Great guy. Really great guy. But that's the danger. When the leader becomes the movement inherits the human's flaws. And we're all flawed human beings. And that was Jackson's problem. He became the movement. The movement was him. It was almost like you couldn't move without Jesse Jackson. But Jesse Jackson was a legit American hero. The man helped negotiate the release of hostages in Syria and Cuba. The man pressured corporations to do diversity hiring. The man expanded voter registration. The man brought coalition politics to a national stage. Because of Jesse Jackson, man, we take Black candidates serious. And that's important because nobody wants to be the first Black person to do anything. Being the first Black person is hard. It comes with a level of ridicule and scrutiny unlike anything else. And that's kind of why people of my age group feel like our elders betrayed us with hip hop. Because on the back end of the civil rights movement, your preachers like Jesse Jackson and others were demonizing hip hop when we were actually trying to build on the backbones they set for us. And that's the thing about me getting older and being able to have a podcast and be able to communicate. I was there at the inception of hip hop. I was there. So a lot of folks can't tell me things. I was there. I lived through the history. And there's a constant push now to try to rewrite history. And I hate it. But our rebel rousing and ambition was so in line with the civil rights push and was the next step of the civil rights push. Had we came together, there would have been more social gain. I saw all these elders demonize hip hop, push it to the side, said it was the devil, and really lean into respectability politics so much to the point we didn't see how much of a money-making mechanism hip hop was. Right now, hip hop is the number one music genre for over 30 years, and that is wild, if you want to be honest. Like, this is crazy that hip hop has been so dominant. The culture spun off hip hop, which is Black culture, is the number one exporter of America. Everybody jacks our style, but one thing that it didn't happen was it wasn't monetized. It wasn't monetized properly. So as I put out this new project, the Book of James, it'll be out in May. I want to say, man, thank you to all the elders in the civil rights movement and the push you guys did. But I also want to say, man, hey, in the future, for us who grew up in hip hop, who love hip hop, it's our time now to guide these younger generations. If you don't like what's going on in hip hop, man, don't shun away from it and say, oh, I'm outgrown it now. I can't do it. No, now is your time to take and show leadership and show these young folks, man, how you can use and utilize this hip hop to spread their voice. Because, man, the fight ain't over. But a lot of y'all lost y'all fight. And that's kind of the problem. All right, so I've seen the bully complex up close. People think if you're quiet, you're smaller, if you're not reacting, that means you're weak, that you're not ready for action. And when I was younger, I just wanted peace. I wanted friends, so I let things slide. And I lived by the sticks and stones mindset. Just let it roll off your back, but that doesn't work, too. I know we like to say sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt you. The truth of the matter is sticks and stones may break your bones, and your words can get you fucked up. It turns into your feelings getting hurt, feeling uncomfortable, taking hits, and not swinging back. And that was me all the way up into 6th grade. Then something changed. Like in 7th grade, I said, this stops now. If I got to fight every goddamn day to prove my point, it stops now. Because sometimes you got to really show folks that you're not going. Like anybody talking crazy, we addressing it. And yeah, ask anybody who knew me back then. It turned into fights. I was not afraid to swing on you. Like not because I wanted chaos, but it's because I understood. The only thing bullies respect is consequences. It wasn't about winning the fight. It was about making a point and making it clear. If you come for me, it's going to be a problem for both of us. We're both going to feel uncomfortable. We're both going to have to go through some pain. And I'm telling you this story to make an analogy of this war that the U.S. is waging with Iran. Under no metrics can the Iranian army beat the great United States Army. But that's not the point right now. Iran is showing us that we cannot be a bully. And that's what we've been being. And that's what we are. We are a bully. America is a bully. And one thing I know about a lot of bullies, when you have size and you have power, you get lazy, you get complacent, and you start to live off your legacy. And that's what we are doing right now in America. Honest question. Do you guys really think we're winning this war? I know this current administration likes to say every damn day that we're winning the war. Do you really feel like we are winning this war? One strait being closed down has caused global economic catastrophe. This administration said that the current Iranian regime ground-to-air missiles were destroyed. And then the next week, a plane was shot down. Do you believe this administration? Like, the honest to God truth is I believe the Iranian government more than I believe the American government. Because our current administration likes to lie, likes to puff his chest up, like to believe like it's strong. But anybody who's dealt with a bully knows, man, it comes a point you have to show and tell. You actually got to walk the walk. Hey, look, man, there's been plenty of fights I've gotten into with bullies where I got my ass whooped. But it wasn't about me winning the fight. It was about me making a point. Me showing weakness in the armor. Showing everybody around me that, hey, man, you don't have to put up with this either. And that's what Iran is doing to us right now. And if we don't take a step back and use more diplomacy, it's going to escalate into a big problem. Because one thing I know is when people make principled stands, they're probably willing to go farther than you are. Hey, and that's common knowledge, updated weekly. Once again, apologize for the absence, man. I was under the weather. And I will like to tell you guys to check out my new project coming out with James Payne Lethal and Pistol Paco. It's called The Book of James. It will be out on every DSP. And if you want a copy, man, just hit your boy up too, and I will give you a copy. Y'all be safe. Peace.